Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Halloween, Friday, October 31st. Glad you're with us. We'll talk college football today. Press conference in Baton Rouge at 8 this morning, where it's most likely going to be announced that Scott Woodward's not the athletic director there at LSU anymore. Matt Moscona will be at that press conference. He will join us after it at 8:30 this morning. Stanford Steve, 9:30 to get all the lines for the weekend, what you need to be looking at, don't need to be looking at, need to stay away from, and maybe where he is going to be this weekend. Is there a game or two from that perspective, Greg, right off the bat that you like this weekend, that you feel like the line is just wrong, you have a beat on it, you like it more than the others?
Gosh, as far as like one that stands out, I mean, Vegas is pretty sharp by the time you get to week 10. The one that feels maybe the most off to me is probably that Cal-Virginia game. That's the one that feels a little strange, but not that crazy, like when you really get down to it. So of all the ones that feel a little off, that's probably number one.
Okay. That's one that, I took yesterday, and I think when you kind of take a look at it, it's definitely one that doesn't feel like it makes a ton of sense. But we'll talk some national games. We'll talk Kentucky-Auburn. Obviously, Wildcats roll into Auburn, and Tigers get a win against Arkansas last week. Some things heading in a positive direction. Have you been surprised that Coach Freeze did not necessarily name Ashton Daniels the starting quarterback heading into this one?
I'm not surprised because I know the sensitivity surrounding Jackson Arnold. I mean, if Jackson Arnold was a very confident player, if Jackson Arnold was a guy that you knew could weather the proverbial storm that comes with getting your starting job taken away. I know he had it taken away last year, but I think there'd be concerns probably from Hugh Freeze camp that, hey, we need to kind of handle this kid with kid gloves. At least we've kind of, it hasn't been great for him in the past. He struggles with confidence. Like, I don't think it's good because there might be a time where we actually think that he might be giving us the better chance to win that week. And I don't know why you would ever publicly declare. I just don't feel like it does your team any good anymore. The team knows internally. I don't know why you need to tell us, the public. You don't owe us anything.
Right. And that's a good point that you bring up about Jackson Arnold, kind of where he is mentally, and you want to at least try to protect that. I go back to Oklahoma last year when he was benched. We had them against South Carolina later in the year. Venables did say that his attitude was where it needed to be, that he kept everything in line, didn't pout, didn't sulk, actually helped Michael Hawkins a pretty good bit. So maybe that's a real positive for him and how he'll handle this situation. You don't really know where it is, but you want to keep him engaged. And if he, for some reason, does change his game and start to see things a little bit differently, you want him to still be able to be your guy. And obviously, because of injury, you're going to need him to be your guy as well. I think now what comes into play, Greg, let's say Ashton Daniels does start this game. Let's say he plays fairly well, is the redshirt factor. Because Hugh Freeze wants to have him back next year. He can redshirt, and he could have another year, but he can't play more than 4 games this year. So I don't know how exactly you handle that one. Unless you just say, all right, we're going to burn it. And you can say, all right, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vandy, Alabama, that's going to be your 4. And then you just give the Mercer game to Deuce Knight or Jackson Arnold. Would that be, I guess, the only other way you'd go with it?
Absolutely, I think. I mean, Hugh Freeze right now, with all due respect, and I based on people I talk to, I don't seem to think that his job is in legitimate jeopardy. Like, I've talked to a few people about this, and people that would be in the know, and there's not a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, we got to run Hugh. He's the problem. Like, no, I don't think they're the decision makers, the powers that be, are not the ones that are echoing that sentiment right now. Doesn't mean they can't change their tune. Of course they can.
Sure.
But as of this moment, that's not where I think things are for Auburn or Hugh Freeze. So if I'm him, I still don't want to take it to chance. I need to win. I need to win as many games as I can down the stretch to best give myself the chance to get to next year. And if a guy's red shirt gets burned in the process, so be it. But yeah, I mean, how many more games can Hawkins play? Or not Hawkins. Daniels play.
Based on what we've seen, I don't think Oklahoma wants Hawkins playing too many more games either. But that's a story for another day.
So but how many more games for Daniels before he can redshirt? You said 3 more?
He could be fine the rest of the way, because the conversation we had before the Missouri game when we had him was, I shared it with you guys. Hugh Freeze told us if this doesn't go well early, we're putting Ashton Daniels in the game. That was my hit in the open of that game, because Freeze was ready to pull the trigger. Jackson Arnold had a couple things going in the quick game, didn't make big mistakes. Auburn was moving the football. And I think kind of with some of the drops, you looked at just where that team was at halftime. He didn't want to make a change at that point because he probably felt like he had a real good opportunity to get that game. They didn't. So now he makes it. And the conversation there was, we'd love to have Ashton Daniels back next year. Now, this is me. This is not Hugh Freeze. It sounded like the thought process probably being, whether it's them or whether it's him, they don't expect to have Jackson Arnold back next year.
Probably not.
So then you would have Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight. You hope you get Deuce Knight ready to go. If not, you've got this 22, 23-year-old that's played a lot of college football that it can at least right the ship for a season or the first 3-4 games, and you got Deuce Knight ready to go. So they didn't tell us that. That wasn't exactly what was shared with us, but I think common sense prevails and says, yeah, that's what they're thinking there. So he can go the rest of the way. He could go Kentucky, Vandy, Alabama, and then the Arkansas game would have been his 4th. And like I said, you'd have to give Jackson Arnold and or Deuce Knight the Mercer game, which the way Hugh Freeze has handled things in the past, I would imagine that's just a Deuce Knight game. And you let him go out and play that game, because we've heard his discussions about his receivers and some of the non-conference games with them. Like, we need to throw them the ball. We need to keep them engaged. We need to keep them happy, so to speak.
Right.
That would be the direction that I would imagine that they would go, even though that hasn't been shared with me from anybody on that staff.
Makes sense to me. But then again, I think that they don't need to be worried about transferring and guys being happy and guys staying engaged and all that stuff. Like, forget that. Like, just win. I mean, getting looks and touches to divas is ridiculous at this juncture. Like, the team is 500. You need to win. And I don't care if that requires handing the ball off 37 times. Hand it off 37 times. Whatever it takes to get to the finish line. Your obligation is not to retain players. Your obligation is to win. So I would imagine, in my conversations with Hugh a couple weeks back, his only priority is winning. I don't think he cares at all about what's going on the periphery or what could happen down the stretch.
Yeah. All right, so you look at this matchup coming up this weekend. I'll be in the booth with Tom Hart, Alyssa Lang on the sideline, SEC Network, 6:30. You've had Kentucky a couple of times this year. You've had Auburn a couple of times this year. You haven't gotten really to see Ashton Daniels on the field as their quarterback in person much, but where do you begin to look at this game and where it goes? Because Kentucky's got struggles at quarterback too now. Cutter Boley, they're having trouble getting the ball down the field. They're having trouble in finding explosive plays. The emphasis point when we had them a couple weeks ago and now, I believe, is just get the ball out quick, try to allow some of these skill guys to make plays on their own. Where are you on this matchup as far as where certain advantages are for both sides going in?
Well, I haven't had Kentucky since week 2, so I have not had the Cutter Boley experience. However, he did come in at the end of that game in week 2 and looked like things went pretty well. Now, I've watched him a couple times, but most of my attention has been paid towards the defense and what they've done, because I do like their defense this year better than they were a year ago. Looking for the most part at their offense, though, I think they lack legitimate playmakers. I don't think they have good weapons. I think a lot of it runs through the tight end, and with McGowan not at 100% and not knowing his availability, it's hard for me to find a lot of confidence in being able to move the football. So what do we know right now? What's the latest on Seth McGowan's availability?
He was a game-time decision last week. I can't imagine it's going to be any different this week, but he was close to going last week, so I would imagine he'll go. And they're a different team with him. I mean, there's just,
oh my gosh,
the mentality of the team is different. The behavior of the team is different. What they're capable of doing offensively is different. I mean, the only reason that they were even in the game against Texas is because Seth McGowan was catching checkdowns from Cutter Boley. I mean, that was it. And, they had how many of those right over the middle of the field? that they just kept going to. And
a handful.
And I'm not trying to push the narrative of him catching the football is a big difference for them all year. However, what I am saying is that when he does touch the football and he's able to help create things, he makes a difference. And I think they got to have him. They have to have him in this game if they're going to find a way to win, because running the football in this defense has not been easy, and it's definitely not going to be easy for this team.
No, far from it. And I also think when you look at everything, Auburn has done a great job defensively. I mean, they really have. They've done such a great job defensively. But how many teams, like we've said for a million years, really genuinely don't care that they've played against? Not many. And I think most teams that they've played up to this point had legitimate postseason aspirations and were trying to go and get it. The last team that they played that wasn't playing it close to the vest was South Alabama. It's like, let's just throw the kitchen sink at them, boys. We got nothing to lose. Am I wrong? Has there been a team since then that has thrown the kitchen sink at Auburn offensively? I can't remember one.
I don't think so.
No, everyone else has kept it real close to the vest. And hey, let's just grind them out, boys. Like, we got this. Like, don't make a mistake. We'll be all right. All this other stuff. So I've been struggling in trying to figure out, is Auburn's defense as good as the numbers suggest? I lean towards no, but I could be talked into the other direction, Cole. Like, which way do you feel on that?
As good as the numbers, maybe not, but I think they're still pretty good. I mean, in today's day and age,
top 5 defense.
In today's day and age of college football, how many teams are just finding ways to move the ball? Like you said, whether it's a tight end, whether it's a quarterback, a running back, whether it's formations, tempo, like everybody has, it feels like a couple of things where they can generate some offense and find a way to get some things going. So I still think they're really good. Top 5, that feels like a stretch.
Well, that's where they're at. Statistically speaking, they're like a top 5 defense.
Also, but I'll say this. We have these narratives that fly around college football every year that we talk about, that the national media talks about. Like, who do you view as dominant defenses right now in college football?
Ohio State.
Okay, I agree with you, but what if we ask the exact same question about Ohio State?
They haven't played anybody.
And I don't even care about the whole team. I'm just saying specifically on offense.
No, they've literally played nobody.
So, I mean, even those numbers might be a little bit cloudy as to what they are.
Like, Oklahoma looked like a top 5 defense to me. Like, I watch them.
For sure, yeah.
It's a great defense, really good. And then they run into a team that's got a little dynamic system that is hard to contain. And look what happened to them. They gave up 430 last week.
I thought you just invented a new word there, and we're going to say dynamices, like dynamic tendencies. They've got dynamices there.
Is that's one of the Avengers. That's their.
It's a superpower.
That's their arch nemesis.
Oh.
Diameses would be sweet, but no, dynamic system. I don't know why those two words together are difficult to say.
It's not easy.
13 minutes into the show. I mean, who are the other top defenses that you've seen this year? So, like, mine are in no particular order. My favorite defenses I've watched just across the board: Texas Tech, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Miami's got to be up there.
Miami, their D-line by themselves is so much fun to watch. I would say, gosh, in a weird way, I still really like Florida. I really like Florida's defense. I know the numbers won't bear that out, but
A&M's got to be up there.
A&M for sure. And that's 6 right there. Looking at some other stuff.
Yeah, if you just played the game of you're going into a game and you're playing for your life, like whose defense are you taking, Auburn or LSU? And I'll give you a healthy Whit Weeks.
I'm taking LSU all day.
I think most people would. I mean, I don't think that's really a big stretch. You know,
Missouri.
I'm probably. I think that's close, but depends on when it is in the year. If it's in 3 weeks, I'm probably taking Auburn because I think they've played more guys this year, and I think they have a better chance of being healthy and have more depth. I mean, Missouri's a little more dynamic. They have more dynamices off the edge.
Dynamices.
they probably are a little more physical at the third level, but that's not always good. I mean, that can get you in trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Oklahoma. I would say probably my favorite, at least front seven that I've watched this year. There are parts of Texas that are great.
A&M's close there, though.
A&M is fantastic, and I think we asked the same question about A&M that we asked Oklahoma before the Ole Miss game. It's like, do we even know if their secondary is that good? I don't really know. But it's also of great benefit to not have your secondary tested at this point in the year. Like, that's a win in and of itself. So,
how do you like Florida?
I like Florida's defense.
I do too.
If you can guarantee me a healthy Caleb Banks, I like him even more.
Yeah,
hadn't had that a ton this year, but I mean that completely pushes them to a different place. So
I'll tell you who else I like is Indiana's defense.
Indiana's defense plays sound. They play hard. But we're talking about defenses that we like instead of defenses that we look at and say, oh yeah, that is a dominant group that not many people are going to be able to do anything about. Because I would have put Oklahoma in that category next to just about anybody else in college football, and Ole Miss found a way to move the ball on them. So, I think
Oklahoma was their own worst enemy a couple times there.
That's fair. I'm gonna say top 10. I think top 10, top 12 defense. Probably
Auburn. I agree. I think Auburn's about a top 12 to 15 defense, if not slightly higher. But I do think their numbers are completely misleading. And I do think that teams on the other side play a different style against Auburn than you see against other teams. For example, if Auburn played against Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss would move the football. I think Ole Miss would move the football with relative ease. I'm not saying they would score 60. I'm not saying they'd have 500 yards of offense, but I think they'd have 4. I feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah.
I don't think Auburn's holding Ole Miss to under 300 yards of offense. But I do think that Auburn, their offense has been so putrid that teams just it inflates their defensive numbers a bit. So that's why I'm looking forward to seeing an offense really challenge Auburn's defense without caring about, playing complementary football. Like, take the reins off. Let's go. Like, let's light it up. Let's go and get it. Because no one's really done that against Auburn. I think Auburn might be able to hold up in that situation. I just don't know that yet. I'm just looking forward to seeing if they can.
Yeah. All right, so you can give us your thoughts, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. There's some other aspects Auburn's got to deal with, and that's the Kentucky defense. There's some really good there. There's some probably really bad there. And it's shown up more times than once this season. We'll get to, on the other side, can Auburn take advantage of those things that have been bad for the Kentucky defense? You're probably going to need to take advantage of the jacket or sweater closet this morning because it's chilly. It's in the 30s right now. As football season moves on, that means changes in the weather are coming. Protect your HVAC system with a checkup from a trained comfort specialist. So when the cold weather hits, you'll have peace of mind. You're protected by America's most reliable and trusted brand. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. Remember, it's hard to stop a train. All right, we'll talk a little more Auburn, Kentucky, get into the rest of the SEC games. It's a Max Ball Friday. We keep it rolling next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 722 right here on Jocks. 800-239-9569 if you'd like to get in. 800-239-WJOX. We will continue rolling with our thoughts on college football. Press conference at LSU this morning, 8 a.m. Most likely set to be announced, Greg, that Scott Woodward is not going to be the athletic director anymore. And after what we heard from the governor of Louisiana, I guess that it's not very hard to imagine that once the governor comes out and says the things that he does, that and he's involved with the university, the athletic director probably looks at things and says, how am I supposed to do my job when things like this are being said?
Well, albeit not formally announced, is it not already essentially established that he's out? Isn't that already said? Isn't that already sources indicating?
The sources, yes. Yes.
The sources.
Not announced, but yes.
You know what's funny is I actually sat on the field prior to the Ole Miss game and had a nice conversation with Scott Woodward. And I really like Scott. I've known Scott for years, dating back to his time at A&M. It's just amazing. And we were talking about the future of the SEC and talking about the future of college football and just bigger picture stuff, Like never in a million years did I think within a month he'd be gone. I mean, it's insane. There's no way on earth he was thinking that at that point, by the way. They were undefeated on that field in pregame. And crazy how quickly things can change in this world, isn't it?
It is. That is college football, and that is just kind of where we are with college football. A lot of these teams willing to make big moves to chase rings. If you're chasing a ring, maybe you need to go to Bromberg's.
Yeah, Bromberg's been my go-to for a very long time. I've always appreciated the experience you get when you walk in the door and visit with their incredible sales staff. They just do such a great job in helping you understand what you're buying, helping you understand which is the best option for you, depending on budget, depending on retaining the value, whatever it might be. Like, I don't know anything about jewelry. I don't know the first thing. That's why I exclusively rely on Bromberg's, walking in the door and just finding something beautiful that my family, my friends, my loved ones will appreciate. Whether it's giftware, whether it's something special for the holidays, jewelry, raw natural diamonds, you name it, they got it. So go and check them out in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit. You can always check them out online at brombergs.com.
All right, let's talk a little bit more of this. Matt Moscon will be with us right after the press conference there in Louisiana this morning to be giving us his thoughts on the hows, whys this thing came about, what they did, and what's going to be next for LSU. I felt like this kind of had to happen with the way that things had gone down and what it was, but we'll talk to Matt Moscon about what he thinks is going to be next there in Baton Rouge. On the other side of the football, the Kentucky defense against this Auburn offense, Greg, I think Brad White is a great defensive coordinator. I think he's probably underrated in most people's mind. And I think, too, when you look at structurally how they play, there are parts of it that could be advantageous for Auburn, parts of it maybe not. They want to live a little bit more in 3 down. They've gone more 4 down this year. But gap scheme run, which Auburn has had some success with, can be successful against this group. We've seen some teams win with it. They go more 4 down, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get that going. And the stretch play, which Bush Hamden wants to build things on, kind of hasn't really been able to be the backbone of the offense. So now it's a lot of quick game that they've relied on. Auburn's been great on the perimeter, tackling in the quick game. DBs have been pretty physical, coming up, playing things. It's been good for how they've operated. So I wonder if the corners are the problem in man, one-on-one down the field. Can Auburn consistently take advantage of that? I think you would look at it and say probably. I believe they can, believe they should be able to with Ashton Daniels in the game, and he actually releases the football. And what we've seen Cam Coleman do, his health will be interesting watching going into this game as well. But where do you look for success for the Auburn offense against this defense?
Is Cam Coleman hurt?
Well, he left the Arkansas game, and
I know, but is he hurt?
Are you pulling like the program? Is he hurt or is he injured?
Is he hurt or is he injured?
I think he's probably hurt.
Okay, so hopefully he can go. You never know anymore. You never know what the circumstances are around injuries and things like that. But I felt like that it's not like there was a singular play in the Arkansas game, or at least in my watching it, where I was like, oh gosh, what did he do there? You know what I mean? Like I didn't see anything. So soft tissue or something, I have no idea. But hopefully he's good enough to go. We'll see. I am very curious about Ashton Daniels' ability as a thrower. I watched him last year at Stanford. I thought he threw it pretty good. I know a lot of people have talked about his mobility. I don't think he has a huge arm. And I know he's fast, but I felt like in watching him last year, he threw it better than you might realize. So what do you know about him as a passer?
I'm with you. The release a little bit longer, say, than what you've got with Jackson Arnold. But on the flip side of that, too, I don't think being as twitchy is going to help in the run game as much, especially the designed run game, where Jackson Arnold's able to make those cuts and do different things. But, I'm all for Ashton Daniels in this offense. I think he's got enough arm strength to be able to push the ball out there. We've seen him make some of the perimeter throws. I don't think there's any part of it that's going to be problematic from a passing perspective, arm strength perspective, anything along those lines. So, I think he's good, and I'm anxious to see if he can consistently push the ball down the field and having success with it. So,
tell me this: what's the response? I don't know the answer to this. Jackson Arnold runs out there first drive as the starting quarterback. Not saying he will, not saying he won't. Just saying, what if he does? What's the response in Jordan-Hare?
Not extremely loud, I would imagine.
Or loud for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I don't know if it would necessarily go to boos just yet, but I think you'll hear a pretty loud ovation if it's Ashton Daniels. I think you'll hear a lower ovation if it's Jackson Arnold.
Gotcha.
But here's the thing. Get ready for this. Not that it's going to take long for people to figure out. Coach Freeze and I were talking before the game, and we were laughing about how many different guys were playing on defense, and he goes, because we were going to talk about the quarterbacks in the open, and he's like, I'm just not sure that it's a good idea for us to go there in the open. I'm like, no problem. We don't have to do that. He goes, I could be like DJ. He goes, watch when they throw the starting linebackers up on the big screen. He's like, there's like 8 of them. He's like, he literally puts everybody up there because he's going to play everybody. So, like, his starting linebackers are pretty much all of them. And you're just kind of like, all right. Okay, so what if they throw them both up there? Just asking. Go with the old ULM Todd Berry formation with Ashton Daniels and Jackson Arnold on the field for the first play.
Love that. I'm fine with that. Or just starting Wildcat with no quarterbacks on the field.
Could get that going, too.
Why not? That'll really get them going.
But I just think that when you talk about this Kentucky D-line, I think they're super solid. I think they can be somewhat problematic.
I think they're better than solid.
Yeah, I think Brad White has an idea that how Auburn runs the football, what he needs to do to slow it down, and he's going to put the emphasis on it. And I think opportunities will be presented deep for this Auburn offense. I think it's going to be a little bit of prove-it mode for Brad White. And if it starts to be proven like it was against Tennessee, then I think he'll sort of say, all right, we'll back off now, and we'll change that around.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Kentucky has a path to victory here. Like, I think it's bigger than it should be. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't think Auburn's offensive line is going to do very well against this defensive line. I think Kentucky changed their identity as a defense from last year to this year because of the Auburn game last year. I think they could no longer just sit there and anchor and allow guys to free flow over the top. They said, we got to penetrate, we got to move, we got to do some things differently. And I think Brad White has had this game circled. You give up 270 on the ground in a game, you're going to have the one circled the following year. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little concerned for Auburn on Saturday.
Okay, we'll see how that goes. Rich in Albertville wants to hop on the Higginbotham Hotline, talk Auburn. Welcome in, Rich.
What's up, fellas? How are you?
Doing well.
How are you?
Good. I tend to agree with Greg on this. I think it's going to be a Auburn L, just for this fact that you take away what the defense did against a decent Arkansas offense. The fact that that could happen back-to-back weeks, that's a possibility, but you can't count on it when your offense only scores one touchdown the whole game against a poor Arkansas defense. That's trouble. Kentucky's defense and offense, or just team in general, is a lot better than what we faced last week. And on the offensive side, they struggled again. So I think if Jackson were to pop out there, run out there, I think you're going to hear a lot of boos. Just to be honest with you, I think Auburn fans are done with Jackson. Whether it's Jackson's fault or not, it's maybe unfair, but that's just the name of the game. And if you think about it, Q did the same thing last year with Hank Brown. He had a little pressure on him because he was throwing a lot of interceptions, and threw Hank Brown out there for a game and a half, and then threw Peyton in for the rest of the year. So same rinse and repeat story since you've been there, but whatever.
Okay.
It's a little different, though. I mean, there was external pressure from people that mattered that I think led to the Hank Brown decision. I think
there's external pressure this time, too, probably.
Well, I think there's external pressure. But Peyton Thorne, frankly, didn't have any reason to be benched last year, if you want my honest opinion. Like, Jackson does.
Let me ask you this real quick. If Auburn loses to Kentucky, which I feel like they might, the only team that they will really beat realistically is Mercer. You think he's cooked?
I think if he loses this weekend, he's in trouble. I don't think they'll lose. I just think it's going to be a dogfight. I don't think Kentucky's going to be able to manufacture enough offense.
They're going to have trouble moving the ball.
I think they're going to have a really hard time moving the ball. If Seth McGowan can't go, you want to talk about dirty yards? And look, Kentucky's got a veteran offensive line.
Yep.
Like, they're veteran. They're not crazy talented, but they are veteran, so they'll fight and scrap. But
you also don't want them to live in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10s either. They're not great in pass pro.
They can't. They are a flat back, like get off the ball in a 3-point stance and try to move people. And I don't think they're going to have a ton of success doing that against Auburn. I could see the final score of this game being 13-10. Like, seriously, I think you're looking at a really, really low scoring football game. And in a low scoring football game, it's 2 or 3 plays that break it open. I think Auburn's ability to manufacture a big play is much higher than that of Kentucky. I absolutely believe that because I think Auburn's personnel wide receiver is very, very good. I don't think Kentucky's wide receiver personnel is very good. I think they have a solid football player, in Kendrick Law, solid football player, but the other guys are just guys. So I think it's going to be hard for Kentucky to manufacture a lot of big plays because I bet Auburn's probably sitting there thinking, we can stop the run with our front four, and we can probably cover these guys on the outside as well, especially in 3rd down where they play a ton of man. So I'm not super concerned about Kentucky's offense, but I am concerned about Kentucky's defense. I think Kentucky's defense can play. And I do think against a group like this, I could see Kentucky's defensive line having a really nice game with Connor Lew's absence and things like that. So do you think the O-line can hold up?
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. You go back and watch what Brad White did to Texas, a lot of zero nose, a lot of shades slanting across the center's face.
And they're young at center.
A lot of picks on the center. Well, in Texas's regular center was out for that game. And you go back and watch, and they attacked him. They knew what to do and how to do it, and that Texas offense couldn't get a whole lot going. So expect some of that. Some picks where you're running twists and the penetrators keying in on the center. Some of those things are going to take place, and you got to be able to deal with it. You got to be able to manage it. So could be a potential problem for this offense. And I'm with you. I think Kentucky's defensive front is stout and probably doesn't get near the credit that they deserve to because they don't have a lot of stars up there. They don't have a lot of guys that are going to be drafted in the 1st round or all SEC or things of that nature. But, I mean, this Mike Weiss, Humphrey Grace, he's tough to handle now. 90 on the edge, and he can play down a little bit. Gusta is tough at 0. Khalil Saunders has been good for 2-3 years now. and you get some Sam Green off the edge with a little changeup of Steven Souls. They're tough. Davin Rainer's played a lot of football at linebacker. He can play downhill and be physical. They will make life difficult at the line of scrimmage. I believe that. But I do think third level is gettable, and Auburn's got to find a way to do that. So we'll move on from that game. Plenty of other games for us to get into. Keep your feedback coming. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. You can listen online, jocksfm.com. That app is in your app store. iPhone, Android, search it for free. Watch us live on YouTube each and every morning. We'll continue talking college football right here on a Max Ball Friday on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Halloween. Friday, October 31st, right here on Jocks. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the show. Max Ball Friday. So we have a lot to get to, a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. Your calls welcome, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. We'll come back to Auburn, Kentucky a little bit later in the show, get the actual picks there, and then what everybody else is thinking. We'll move around first to the Southeastern Conference. By the way, some surprises, I would say, last night, GMAC. I don't know if a lot of people saw these games go in the direction that they did. Did we see Coastal Carolina's uniforms?
I did.
Well, I saw it in the dark. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, glow-in-the-dark uniforms last night for Coastal Carolina. If you guys missed it, it was something.
Did you not like them?
Well, you don't play the game with them glowing in the dark. So
You mean the lights
really,
on the field didn't
really cool for the
necessarily-
run out and really cool for your in-between quarter light shows, but an actual...
They also ran out to, in between a parade of motorcycles.
Yeah, I think they do that every game. I've done a game in
Well, I
Conway.
never knew that, but I could get on board with it.
I thought you knew ball.
It's very similar to the Arlington Renegades, Greg, which are now the what are they? The DFW Renegades. The
North Texas.
I don't think they've gone to Denton just yet, but
Frisco
County Renegades maybe. They have moved, but nonetheless, Coastal takes down Marshall 44-27 last night. The performance of the night, though, goes to UTSA and Jeff Traylor's bunch. Not just UTSA, but how about quarterback Owen McCown? 31 of 33, 370 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. 31 of 33? That's impressive on air.
It was pretty sporty performance. I'll give him some credit, no doubt about it. It was really, really impressive. And honestly, the game wasn't even as close as the final score would indicate, and that's a 20-plus point victory. Like, it felt like a complete demolition from the get-go.
It was a dominant performance by UTSA, and I want to take just a little bit of kind of what happened in that game and take you back through it, because I mentioned sort of Owen McCown and how impressive that was. Not just impressive from a numbers perspective, but kind of historically what that meant. So here's what you get with that 31 of 33 for 374 touchdowns. That's 94% on the day. New single game record. 16 straight completions to start the game. That is a new program single game record. And he is now one of 2 FBS players with 4 passing touchdowns, 300 yards on 90% completed in a game this season. I will give you all an opportunity to guess the other.
Oh, gosh. Let's go with... I'm looking at the teams they played. Appalachian State.
Julian Sayin will be the other.
Oh, I thought you were saying
guy.
game that he did it.
Oh, no.
Julian
He's
Sayin.
one of 2 quarterbacks that has done it this year.
1 of 2 quarterbacks. I thought it was 1 of 2 games.
1 of 2 QBs.
Gotcha. Julian Sayin. All right, pretty good, pretty accurate player. Does a nice job.
Yeah, I would say does a really nice job. Not as good
Only
as,
one of the better quarterbacks in the country right now.
yes,
Throwing the
and
football. Yes.
You give him that and you allow that. All right, but that was last night, which, I mean, still pretty impressive. And Jeff Traylor and company now 4-4 on the season, 2-2 in the American. Tulane goes to 6-2, 3-1 in the American. 48-26 was that final. Just it's a really impressive win for that group.
Very. How about this as just like a side note, big picture idea? What do you make of the Jeff Traylor really angry that Summerall and all these other guys are getting all these looks, and all of a sudden Traylor's been forgotten about, even though he's done a phenomenal job at UTSA for a number of years?
The only problem I have with it, and he was angry about a lot of things after the game last night, not just that, but I feel like he's had opportunities. He was in the mix there for a while. He was being mentioned. And I feel like he turned a few of them down, decided to stay. And I don't know if just people said, all right, well, we'll move on. And then a couple of years after he had a couple players taken through the portal, they weren't as good. So then his name faded just a little bit. I think he's a hell of a coach. And I think he runs a good program. But we all know that the flavor of the week, flavor of the year, flavor of the month, it doesn't really last. Look at Matt Campbell. How often was he mentioned for big jobs every single year? Stay. Still playing good football. But all of a sudden, he's not mentioned near as much a couple years later. So,
well, you stay at a place too long. Like Jim Grobe was that way. I think Dave Clawson at Wake Forest was that way.
Kind of happened to Chris Peterson a little bit. Like he stopped being mentioned for some of those jobs. Finally took Washington, but he had just been there forever, and people just, I guess, assumed he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that the whole staying too long thing is a real thing when it comes to the G5. Like, you got to take your chances when you can go, especially with how much the world has changed. So I think Traylor will end up getting some looks this time around, just because there's just not enough qualified coaches to fill the potential voids that could be coming up. So I'd keep an eye on him. I don't think enough people have been reminded. I think last night was served as a good reminder for a lot of people, like, all right, hang on a second. This is a guy that's done it. Remember this. Pete Golding and Will Stein, two of the hottest coordinator names in the sport over the last few years, OC at Oregon, DC at Bama, and Ole Miss, both worked under Jeff Traylor at UTSA. Don't forget that.
Yep.
Pretty significant.
I think he's a great coach.
I agree.
And I do wonder sometimes he is one of those names that you kind of like, why is he not being thrown around for some of these jobs? There's a lot of these jobs that look like they're going to be open, and he doesn't seem to be getting those looks and seem to be getting the discussion points. So tonight you're going to get Memphis at Rice, 6 o'clock on ESPN2, 6:30 on ESPN. North Carolina is at Syracuse. And then Sam Houston State is at La Tech, 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. That all sounds good in theory. That all sounds enjoyable. It might not be enjoyable tonight. Might not be a reason that you'll be able to enjoy that tonight, GMAC. I'll tell you on the other side why what I just mentioned about tonight's football may not actually be for some of us. Next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. What you hear from Jeff Traylor after that game here in just a moment. Like I said, there was a lot of frustration. You'll have to wait for that, Greg, but one thing you don't have to wait for is your dental care.
That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of. The urgent care office, you can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you. Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trustful. You can go and see them. They can get you in the same day, and Friday and Saturday appointments are available as well. So go and check them out, especially eating a lot of candy. Need to get those teeth cleaned. Do not want to be dealing with that after Halloween, so maybe go see them tomorrow. Make some sense on November 1st, but do it before 11 o'clock local if you could, so you can get home and watch your ABC station. Family Care Dental, 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
All right, we have that audio, John, from Jeff Traylor. This is the UTSA head coach after a massive win last night for the Roadrunners.
A team that felt extremely disrespected. A coach that said we've basically been cheating the last 6 years, which disrespects everything we've done in this place for 6 years, in my opinion. A quarterback for them that disrespected us like unbelievable, mic'd up before the game. Some spoiled, rotten media. Some fair weather fans. Shut them up for a week. But the loyal ones, the true ones, that have been there since day one and always stay in there, that's who we play for. Them chirping birds we don't really give a crap about, but not shut them up for a week.
Okay, so Jeff Traylor
Dang.
not happy.
How do you cheat in today's day and age?
Accusations thrown. Accusations tossed by Jeff Traylor. No,
Tell me how you cheat
back.
in 2025. I need to know.
I think if you
Ask the referees.
if you knew somebody's headphone frequency, you can get in the other quarterback's helmet, maybe. Even if you had that, think about this. Let's say you figured that out. This is where a lot of the cheating stuff is ridiculous. How are you letting your defenders know what play is coming? I mean, because your microphone turns off the same time theirs does.
Right.
Yes.
I imagine you would hear the play close to when they're going to get it in close to when it turns off, unless it's Tennessee. And so you then have to distribute that to your guy before yours goes off. And then he's got to get that to everybody else. That would be tough. Well, one other thing that's going to be tough for a lot of us is potentially watching these football games tonight.
Oh, boy.
So my wife says she gets an email on this last night. I'm like, babe, they do this all the time.
Yeah.
It's like we've heard this 4 times, I think, this year.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN PR releases a statement saying, unfortunately, Google's YouTube TV has chosen to deny their subscribers the content they value most by refusing to pay fair rates for our channels, including ESPN and ABC. Without a new agreement in place, their subscribers will not have access to our programming. So, once again, I'm thinking, I get it, babe, but we hear this a lot. Okay, this is not really that new. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. Not a big deal. We'll figure it out. Little did I know that YouTube TV would then tweet out, despite all our best efforts, we have not been able to reach a fair deal. Starting today, Disney programming will not be available on YouTube TV.
Oh, boy.
This means we'll no longer be able to watch channels like ABC or ESPN. Or
Honestly.
access recordings from those networks in your library.
Now they made me mad.
Yeah.
Now they've got
Now
me.
you're dead.
All those read and reacts. We can't go back and watch those.
Nope. Needed it, too. Here's what's funny about this. Literally yesterday, end of the month, my deal with DirecTV is now no longer getting quality pricing. So it's up by 50% this month. I honestly, yesterday afternoon, was thinking, you know what? Tomorrow I might call and get YouTube TV and cancel my DirecTV deal. Yep, no more. See ya. I'm done. Sticking with it. DirecTV for the win. They would never do it to me.
Okay.
We shall see.
Jack up your rates by 50%, but at least you get ESPN. Okay.
I mean, there's one way to up the subscriber list on the new ESPN app. And it's to not have your programming anywhere else.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's right.
That is a guaranteed increase in signatures to sign up
I'm
right there.
subscribed. Just so you know, I'm subscribed to the ESPN app. Unlimited, baby. Unlimited bundle.
Do we get to Saturday without these games on YouTube TV? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whew. Talk about strong arming, folks.